Imagine this. You're weak, vulnerable, and lost, with nowhere to go, no one to help, and no way to communicate your pain. Now, imagine you're a cat, alone, sick, and barely able to walk, and you stumble into a place where you've never been before. A hospital. It's cold, sterile, and strange, but it's your only chance. With every painful step, the cat limps closer to the entrance of the hospital, its paws dragging as it struggles to keep moving. Its fur is matted, eyes dull with exhaustion, and it can barely stay conscious. The doors swing open with a soft chime, but it's unclear whether the cat even notices the sound. All it knows is that it needs help, desperately. As it pushes its way inside, the cold hospital air hits its senses, sending shivers through its frail body. The smell of antiseptic and the quiet hum of the lights make it feel out of place, but there's a flicker of hope in its heart. This is a place of healing, a place where people go to get better. If there's even a small chance that someone will help, this cat is willing to risk it all. The moment it steps further into the hospital, the receptionist looks up from her desk, blinking in confusion. Can I help you?" she asks, unsure of what she's seeing. A cat? Here? In a hospital? But something about the way it stands, so small, so frail, catches her attention. The cat lifts its head just enough to look her in the eyes. No words, no pleading. Just a silent look that says everything. Help me. The receptionist stares down at the sick, helpless cat, uncertainty swirling in her mind. She isn't sure how to react. After all, this is a hospital, a place meant for humans. Her job doesn't involve caring for animals, especially stray ones. But the look in the cat's eyes, it's impossible to ignore. The cat takes another feeble step forward, its legs trembling, clearly struggling to stay on its feet. It's as if the weight of the world rests on its tiny shoulders. For a moment, the receptionist is frozen, unsure of what to do. Should she call animal control? Should she turn it away? Before she can decide, a doctor walks by, his eyes falling upon the poor creature. He stops, his expression shifting from the usual focus of his work to something more gentle. "What's going on here?" he asks, his voice soft yet commanding, drawing the attention of the receptionist. The cat's body language shifts slightly at the sound of his voice, its head tilting up, recognizing a kind tone. The doctor steps closer, kneeling down to meet the cat at its level. He reaches out a hand but pauses, unsure. He doesn't want to frighten it. But then something catches his eye, the cat's collar. It's old, weathered, but there's a name etched into the metal. Dr. Jameson, animal surgeon. A wave of recognition sweeps over him. His heart races as memories flash before his eyes. It couldn't be. This couldn't be the same cat. Could it? He's been through so much since that time. But the collar, the markings, it has to be the same one. The doctor gently strokes the cat's fur, feeling the frailty in its bones. The realization hits him hard. He knows this cat. It was once a companion he had lost so many years ago. Could it be that fate had brought them together once more? The doctor stands frozen for a moment, his heart pounding in his chest. He can't believe it. This is his cat, the one that had disappeared all those years ago. He had tried to move on, to forget, but he never truly could. Memories of the cat, of their time together, flood back with an intensity that surprises him. The receptionist watches the doctor with curiosity as he gently lifts the cat into his arms. She doesn't know what's happening, but there's something in the way he handles the cat, something tender, that tells her this is no ordinary situation. The cat, despite its weakness, seems to recognize the doctor. It lets out a soft, almost relieved meow as it nuzzles against him. The doctor's hands tremble as he holds the frail body close. There's so much he wants to ask, so much he wants to know, but right now, all that matters is getting this cat the help it needs. "How did you find your way here?" he whispers, his voice barely above a murmur. "What happened to you?" The cat's breathing is shallow, its eyes half closed. The doctor knows the situation is serious. This poor creature has been through so much. But there's something deeply comforting in the quiet bond they're sharing, even after all this time. He feels a connection that he thought was lost forever. With careful, practiced movements, the doctor carries the cat to the nearby examination room, gently placing it on the table. He reaches for a stethoscope, his mind racing. The cat's heart rate is weak, its breathing irregular. The fur, once sleek and vibrant, is now dull and matted. The doctor runs his fingers through it, feeling the bones beneath the fur. This cat has been through something unimaginable. He leans in, murmuring, "You're going to be okay. I promise you I'll do everything I can to help." But even as he speaks those words, he wonders, what happened to this cat? Why is it here now, after all these years? Was it a coincidence, or had fate led them back together for a reason? The doctor moves quickly, his hands steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. As he examines the cat, he feels an overwhelming sense of responsibility. He's been given a second chance, a rare opportunity to right the wrongs of the past. But that doesn't make the situation any easier. He places the stethoscope against the cat's chest, listening intently. The weak heartbeat echoes in his ears, a sound that fills him with both determination and fear. The cat's fragile condition is far worse than he imagined. It's not just sick, it's starving, dehydrated, and injured. The doctor knows it's going to take everything he has to save it, but he won't give up. Not now, not when the cat has already come this far. The receptionist, still standing by the door, watches the doctor with a mix of confusion and concern. She's never seen him like this before. He's always been professional, calm, and distant with patients, but with this cat, it's different. There's a sense of urgency in his every move, an unspoken bond that she can't quite understand but can't ignore. The doctor pauses for a moment, looking down at the cat. Its eyes are half closed, its body limp, but there's a glimmer of trust there. It's as if the cat is holding on to him, just as much as he's holding on to it. He can feel the weight of this moment pressing on him, and for the first time in years, he feels like he's truly been given a purpose. "You're not alone," he whispers softly to the cat. "I'll take care of you, no matter what." With steady hands, the doctor prepares an IV, gently inserting the needle into the cat's small vein. As he watches the fluids begin to flow, he feels a flicker of hope. This is just the beginning, but it's a good start. Just as he's about to take a breath, the receptionist steps forward, her voice hesitant but filled with concern. "Doctor, how much is this going to cost? I mean, you're going to help, right?" The doctor looks up, his expression softening for a moment. He knows what she's asking. There's a cost to everything in life, except, in this case, there's no price that can be put on the life of this cat. Without hesitation, the doctor looks back down at the cat, his fingers gently brushing its fur. "This one's free," he says quietly, his voice full of resolve. "No charge. Not for this cat." The receptionist stands there, her mouth open in shock. But what about the hospital expenses? We can't just waive those." The doctor doesn't answer right away. He just keeps his focus on the cat, his hands moving with careful precision. And in that moment, the decision is made. Some things, he thinks, are worth more than money. The doctor continues his work, his focus never wavering as the IV drips into the cat's veins. His mind races, but his hands remain steady. He can feel the cat's body slowly responding to the treatment, a faint sign that it's fighting to stay alive. For a moment, the doctor breathes a little easier. Maybe, just maybe, the cat has a chance. The receptionist, still standing by the door, watches the doctor with a sense of awe. She had never seen this side of him, this vulnerability, this care for an animal he barely knew. She wonders, did the cat mean more to him than just a patient? She knows that the doctor has always been a bit of a loner, focused entirely on his work. But now, it's different. His heart is clearly invested in this animal's survival. "Doctor, I don't understand," the receptionist finally says, her voice barely a whisper. "You're waiving all costs for this cat? But why?" The doctor doesn't look up at first. He finishes adjusting the IV, his fingers brushing the cat's fur with a softness that only deepens the mystery in the receptionist's mind. Then, slowly, he meets her gaze. His eyes are full of something unexpected. Something that speaks of old wounds and long-buried memories. "This cat," the doctor pauses, taking a deep breath before continuing. "This cat isn't just any animal. I used to know it, a long time ago." The receptionist's eyes widen in shock. "Wait, you know this cat?" The doctor nods slowly, his expression distant for a moment. "It was my cat. I lost it years ago. It disappeared, and I never thought I'd see it again." His voice cracks slightly as he remembers the pain of that loss. "I couldn't stand the thought of it being out there somewhere, alone, suffering." The receptionist is speechless. She had no idea. She had only seen the professional, detached doctor, never the person who had cared so deeply for a lost companion. It's clear now that the bond between the doctor and the cat runs much deeper than anyone could have known. As the doctor sits back in his chair, exhausted but hopeful, the cat's breathing begins to steady. It's a small victory, but it's a victory nonetheless. The cat seems to be responding to the treatment, its eyes fluttering open for a brief moment, as if to acknowledge the person who had never given up on it. The receptionist, still in disbelief, steps forward. But how? How could it just show up here like this after all this time? The doctor shakes his head slowly, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Sometimes fate works in strange ways. Maybe this was meant to be. Maybe this cat and I weren't done yet. The receptionist smiles, her heart warmed by the connection she's witnessing. I think you're right. As the doctor continues to monitor the cat, he feels a deep sense of peace settle over him. He's not sure what brought the cat back into his life, but he knows one thing for sure. He will do everything in his power to make sure this time he doesn't lose it again. The doctor continues his work, his focus never wavering as the IV drips into the cat's veins. His mind races, but his hands remain steady. He can feel the cat's body slowly responding to the treatment, a faint sign that it's fighting to stay alive. For a moment, the doctor breathes a little easier. Maybe, just maybe, the cat has a chance. The receptionist, still standing by the door, watches the doctor with a sense of awe. She had never seen this side of him, this vulnerability, this care for an animal he barely knew. She wonders, did the cat mean more to him than just a patient? She knows that the doctor has always been a bit of a loner, focused entirely on his work. But now, it's different. His heart is clearly invested in this animal's survival. Doctor, I don't understand, the receptionist finally says, her voice barely a whisper. You're waiving all costs for this cat? But why? The doctor doesn't look up at first. He finishes adjusting the IV, his fingers brushing the cat's fur with a softness that only deepens the mystery in the receptionist's mind. Then, slowly, he meets her gaze. His eyes are full of something unexpected. Something that speaks of old wounds and long-buried memories. This cat. The doctor pauses, taking a deep breath before continuing. This cat isn't just any animal. I used to know it, a long time ago. The receptionist's eyes widen in shock. Wait, you know this cat? The doctor nods slowly, his expression distant for a moment. It was my cat. I lost it years ago. It disappeared, and I never thought I'd see it again. His voice cracks slightly as he remembers the pain of that loss. I couldn't stand the thought of it being out there somewhere, alone, suffering. The receptionist is speechless. She had no idea. She had only seen the professional, detached doctor, never the person who had cared so deeply for a lost companion. It's clear now that the bond between the doctor and the cat runs much deeper than anyone could have known. As the doctor sits back in his chair, exhausted but hopeful, the cat's breathing begins to steady. It's a small victory, but it's a victory nonetheless. The cat seems to be responding to the treatment, its eyes fluttering open for a brief moment, as if to acknowledge the person who had never given up on it. The receptionist, still in disbelief, steps forward. But how? How could it just show up here like this after all this time? The doctor shakes his head slowly, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Sometimes fate works in strange ways. Maybe this was meant to be. Maybe this cat and I weren't done yet. The receptionist smiles, her heart warmed by the connection she's witnessing. I think you're right. As the doctor continues to monitor the cat, he feels a deep sense of peace settle over him. He's not sure what brought the cat back into his life, but he knows one thing for sure. He will do everything in his power to make sure this time he doesn't lose it again. The atmosphere in the room shifts as the cat's condition continues to stabilize. The doctor monitors the IV drip closely, his mind swirling with questions. How could this cat have ended up in such a state after all these years? What had happened to it? His heart aches as he recalls the moment when it vanished from his life and all the empty nights that followed. But now, with the cat alive and in his care again, those old wounds begin to heal. The receptionist watches silently, still processing the weight of what she's just learned. She knew the doctor had always been a bit of a mystery, but hearing that the cat was once his makes everything feel more real. She wonders just how much time had passed since the cat disappeared and what had transpired in those years. The curiosity is palpable in the room. "I never thought I'd see you again," the doctor murmurs to the cat as he gently strokes its fur. The cat purrs weakly in response, its body still fragile but showing signs of recovery. It's a faint sound, but to the doctor, it's the sweetest music he could ever hear. "Doctor, do you think the cat will make it?" the receptionist finally asks, breaking the silence that settled between them. Her voice trembles slightly with concern, but there's a glimmer of hope there too. She can see how much the doctor cares. The doctor pauses, looking down at the cat. He can't help but feel a mix of hope and uncertainty. "I'm not sure yet," he admits quietly, "but it's fighting, and I'm not going to stop fighting either." As he watches the cat's chest rise and fall, he recalls the day it disappeared. He'd searched for it everywhere, put up flyers and talked to every neighbor, but no one had seen it. For years he thought he'd never get any answers. He had to let go, or at least he thought he did. But now, fate has brought the cat back into his life, and he's determined to never let it go again. He looks back up at the receptionist who's been quietly observing him. "I don't know how or why this cat ended up here today," he says, his voice tinged with emotion. "But I do know one thing. I'm not giving up on it. Not now. Not ever." The receptionist nods, visibly moved by his words. She doesn't need to ask why he's doing all of this for a cat that walked into the hospital with nothing. She understands now. It's not just about the cat's health. It's about the doctor's redemption, his own healing, and the bond that time and distance couldn't break. As the doctor adjusts the IV and checks the cat's vitals one more time, he stands up and stretches, his eyes filled with determination. This battle isn't over. But for the first time in a long time, he feels ready to face whatever comes next. He turns to the receptionist, a spark of hope in his eyes. "Thank you for being here," he says sincerely. "But now I need to take care of this cat. It's going to be all right." The receptionist gives him a small smile, her heart swelling with admiration. She watches as the doctor returns his focus to the cat, his hands now moving with more confidence. He's not just a doctor, he's a man who is finally healing, both for the cat and for himself. The room is silent, except for the soft sound of the cat's breathing and the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. The doctor continues to watch over the animal, his focus unwavering. It's been hours since the cat was first brought in, but it still hasn't shown any signs of improvement. His heart clenches every time he looks down at the cat, but he knows he can't give up now. The receptionist, who's been quietly standing by the door, finally speaks up. "Doctor, are you sure? This cat, is it really your cat, after all this time?" The doctor turns slowly, his eyes tired but filled with a quiet certainty. "Yes, it's my cat. I know it in my heart. I'll never forget the way its fur felt under my hands, the way it would curl up next to me at night." He pauses, a brief flicker of sadness crossing his face. "I lost it, and I thought I'd never get that chance again." The receptionist nods, not fully understanding the depth of his words but sensing the weight behind them. "I can't imagine how much this must mean to you." The doctor sighs and glances at the cat, his fingers gently brushing its fur. "It means everything. It's not just about saving this cat's life, it's about saving something I lost a long time ago." He looks up at her then, a sudden realization dawning on him. Sometimes we don't realize how much something or someone means to us until it's gone. This cat has been my missing piece. The receptionist's heart softens. She's seen the doctor go through so much over the years, but she never knew the depth of his pain. And now she sees him doing whatever it takes to fix the past, to heal the wounds that have been lingering inside him for so long. "I understand now," she says quietly, a sense of understanding in her voice. "You're not just trying to save a cat, you're trying to heal something in yourself too." The doctor doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he turns back to the cat, adjusting its IV line and gently patting its head. He's not sure if the cat even recognizes him yet. It's still so weak, so fragile. But the bond is there, he can feel it, just as strongly as he did all those years ago. The silence stretches on, but it's no longer uncomfortable. It's as if the two of them are sharing a moment of quiet understanding, one where no words are necessary. The doctor has his own reasons for wanting to save this cat, and the receptionist understands them now in her own way. And just when the doctor thinks things might start to settle, something unexpected happens. The cat stirs. Its eyes flutter open, a faint glimmer of recognition flashing in its gaze. It weakly paused at the doctor's hand as if trying to communicate, trying to reach out to him. For the doctor, it feels like a miracle. It's a sign, a spark of hope in a situation that seemed so hopeless just hours ago. His heart skips a beat as he carefully cradles the cat, whispering soothing words as he continues to monitor its progress. The receptionist watches this moment unfold, her own eyes welling up with tears. She can see it now. The cat may be small, but its spirit is strong, and so is the doctor's. "Doctor," she says softly, breaking the silence. Do you think it knows you?" The doctor doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he looks down at the cat, whose eyes are slowly beginning to focus. It's weak, but there's a clarity in its gaze, a recognition that's unmistakable. "I think it does," he says finally, his voice thick with emotion. "And I think it's telling me, we're not done yet." The moment hangs in the air, filled with a quiet, palpable connection between the doctor and the cat. It's a bond that was forged in the past, lost for years, but never forgotten. Now, they have a second chance, both of them. And for the first time in hours, the doctor allows himself a small smile. It's not a big victory yet, but it's a victory all the same. The cat's alive, and that's all that matters. As the night wears on, the hospital becomes quieter, the usual bustle of activity now a distant hum. The doctor sits by the cat's side, his attention fully fixed on the animal. He's cautious, but the glimmer of hope in his heart grows with each passing minute. The cat is responding, albeit slowly, but it's responding all the same. The receptionist, sensing the shift in the room's atmosphere, decides to step away for a moment. She leaves quietly, her footsteps soft on the polished floor. She's learned so much tonight, more than she ever expected. She knew the doctor was special, but this is something else. It's as if the cat's return has unlocked something in him that had been buried deep for a long time. As she walks down the hallway, she reflects on the connection she's witnessed between the doctor and the cat. There's a history there, a story that's not hers to tell. But she understands the weight of it now. The cat isn't just a stray to him. It's a piece of his past, a symbol of everything he's lost and everything he's trying to regain. She knows she won't forget tonight. Meanwhile, back in the examination room, the doctor is still watching over the cat, his fingers gently stroking its fur. His mind is a whirlwind of thoughts, memories of the cat's disappearance, and what he's learned tonight. The connection between them feels almost supernatural, how something so small could bring such a profound change in his life. His thoughts are interrupted by the faintest of sounds, a weak meow. The doctor's heart skips a beat, and he leans forward, his eyes wide with astonishment. Could it be? After all this time, the cat is starting to speak again? He immediately checks the IV and adjusts it, his movements careful and deliberate. He doesn't want to rush anything. The cat's fragile state still worries him. But the meow, it wasn't much, but it was enough to let him know that the cat is waking up. That it's fighting. With bated breath, he watches the cat closely, hoping for more signs of life. And then, slowly but surely, the cat begins to open its eyes, blinking against the harsh hospital lights. Its gaze locks onto the doctor, and for a brief moment, time seems to stand still. The doctor can hardly believe it. The connection they once shared is still there, still strong. The cat may have been through so much, but it's still here. And so is he. He's not giving up now. The cat's head moves slightly, and it attempts to lift its paw, as if reaching for him. It's weak, its movements slow and uncoordinated, but there's a sense of recognition in its eyes that fills the doctor with warmth. It's the look of an old friend, someone who remembers the love and care that was once shared between them. Tears well up in the doctor's eyes as he leans down to gently cradle the cat. "I'm here," he whispers softly, brushing a stray lock of fur from its face. "You're going to be okay. I won't let you go again." The cat gives another soft meow, this time a little louder, a little more certain. It's as if it's reassuring him, telling him that it's not ready to give up either. The doctor's heart swells with emotion. He knows there's still a long road ahead, that the cat's recovery won't happen overnight. But this moment, this tiny sign of progress, is all he needs to keep going. He can't stop now. Suddenly, the receptionist returns to the room, having heard the soft meow from the hallway. She enters quietly, taking in the scene before her. The doctor is cradling the cat gently in his hands, his eyes filled with tears, but his face is lit with an expression of quiet joy. "Doctor," she says softly, almost in awe of the scene before her. "It's really happening, isn't it? It's coming back." The doctor looks up at her, his eyes shining with tears. "Yes," he replies softly. "It's coming back." The receptionist steps closer, her voice filled with emotion. "You've been through so much with this cat. I don't think I've ever seen anyone care this much." The doctor smiles faintly, his hand gently stroking the cat's fur. "This cat means more to me than I can explain. I lost it once. I'm not going to lose it again." The cat purrs softly in response, a sound so faint but so full of meaning. It's a sound that says, "I'm still here, I'm not giving up." And as the doctor watches the cat slowly regain its strength, he knows that this is just the beginning. The road ahead may be long and difficult, but for the first time in a long time, he feels ready to face whatever comes next. The bond they share is unbreakable. It's a love that's been tested by time, by separation, but one that's stronger than anything life can throw their way. The cat's condition improves minute by minute, and with each passing second, the doctor's hope grows stronger. The exhaustion from the long hours of monitoring and waiting is still evident in his eyes. But now there's a glimmer of triumph. The once weak, frail cat is beginning to respond more, its tiny, yet unmistakable meows filling the room with life. The doctor, never taking his eyes off the cat, gently adjusts the oxygen mask, making sure it's secure. The cat stirs slightly, its eyes blinking slowly, focusing on him. The doctor's heart skips a beat as he leans closer, his voice barely a whisper. "Can you hear me?" he asks, the words coming out in a soft tremor, filled with so much hope. "You're going to be okay. Just hold on a little longer, all right?" To his relief, the cat lets out a faint meow, its eyes slowly locking onto his. It's a moment of recognition, a moment that says, "I remember you." The doctor gently pats its head, his hand trembling. The cat's response, however small, means everything. It's not just survival, it's a message. A message of trust, of companionship, of an unspoken bond between them. Meanwhile, the receptionist stands at the door, watching the doctor with a quiet admiration. She's never seen him so vulnerable before, so open in his devotion. It's clear to her now that this wasn't just a professional decision for the doctor. It's personal. He's not saving a cat, he's saving a piece of his heart. The receptionist walks quietly into the room, her steps measured and soft. "Doctor," she says, her voice barely above a whisper, as if not wanting to disturb the fragile moment. "It's incredible to see this. The way you're fighting for this cat, it's moving." The doctor doesn't respond immediately. He's still focused on the cat, his eyes locked in that moment of quiet connection. But he does manage a soft smile, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he says. "I never thought I'd get this chance again. When I lost it, I didn't think I'd ever find my way back. But now I have a second chance." The receptionist, touched by his words, steps closer, her eyes softening. "It's not just about the second chance, doctor. It's about the love and care you're giving. That's what matters most." The doctor looks at her then, really looks at her, his gaze filled with the weight of everything he's experienced. He knows she's right. It's not just about the medical treatment. It's about the connection, the love that transcends the clinical world he lives in. The cat lets out a stronger meow now, its tiny paw twitching. The doctor moves quickly, adjusting its blanket and checking the monitors. The change is subtle, but it's enough to make his heart leap in his chest. "Are you okay?" he whispers, his fingers grazing its fur. The cat doesn't respond verbally, but the look in its eyes is clear. It's a look of gratitude, of trust. The receptionist can't help but smile, the scene before her a testament to the incredible bond between doctor and animal. She knows that this is no ordinary recovery. This is a journey of healing, of rediscovery, and of an unbreakable connection forged in the most unlikely of circumstances. Outside, the night continues, the moon casting a soft glow over the hospital. The world outside feels distant, almost irrelevant, in the presence of the doctor and the cat. In this small room, a miracle is unfolding. And though the road ahead is still uncertain, there's a sense of peace in the air. Whatever happens next, the bond between them is undeniable, and it's clear that nothing will ever break it. The doctor stands up for a moment, stretching his legs. He doesn't want to leave the cat's side, but he knows the nurse will need to check the cat soon. As he steps away, he casts a final, lingering look at the cat. The soft rise and fall of its chest is all the reassurance he needs. The receptionist, seeing the doctor's weariness, speaks up, her voice gentle. "Doctor, you've done more than enough tonight. You can rest for a while. The cat is in good hands." The doctor nods, but his gaze doesn't leave the cat. "I'll rest once I know it's truly better. I won't stop until it's fully recovered." With that, he steps back to the desk, picking up the phone to update the family of the cat's progress. As he speaks to them, a quiet contentment fills the room. The cat is not just a patient anymore, it's family. And for the first time in what feels like forever, the doctor feels like he's truly home. In this minute, the cat continues to recover, showing more signs of life, and the doctor's emotional journey continues to unfold. The receptionist's admiration for the doctor grows as she realizes the depth of his connection with the cat, and the moment becomes even more poignant as the cat's recovery represents more than just physical healing. It's about emotional healing for both the doctor and the cat. The minute ends on a hopeful note, setting the stage for the final resolution. As the hours pass, the cat's progress continues to surprise everyone. It's more alert now, its eyes bright with curiosity, scanning the room. The doctor stands by its side, still vigilant, but there's a sense of calm in the air. The cat's fragile body is slowly gaining strength, and its tiny meows are becoming louder, more confident. The connection between them grows deeper with every passing second. The receptionist watches from the doorway, her heart swelling with admiration. She's seen doctors save lives before, but she's never seen anyone so devoted, so connected to an animal. She's heard the saying, "A doctor's job is never done," but what she's witnessing now goes beyond medical expertise. It's a deep, unspoken understanding between the doctor and the cat, a bond formed not by words, but by trust and compassion. "Doctor," she says softly, stepping into the room, I think you've done it. You've saved him." The doctor looks up from the cat, his eyes tired but filled with something else, a quiet pride. "It's not just me," he replies, his voice a bit hoarse. "It's the cat's will to live too. I can't take all the credit." He glances at the cat, who is now stretching its small legs, testing its strength. The doctor's heart skips a beat as he watches the cat stand, its steps shaky but determined. "It's incredible," he murmurs. The receptionist smiles softly, wiping away a tear she hadn't realized was falling. "It really is. It's like you were meant to find each other. You've given this cat more than just medical care. You've given it hope." The doctor looks at her, a knowing smile crossing his face. "Maybe we both needed this. It's been a long time since I felt like I was really making a difference." Just then, the cat looks up at the doctor with its big, amber eyes, and the doctor feels a lump form in his throat. He reaches out, gently stroking its fur. The cat nuzzles into his hand, its soft purrs filling the room. In that moment, the doctor knows, he's not just treating a patient, he's healing a soul, and perhaps in turn, it's healing him as well. "I think it's time for a new chapter," the doctor says, his voice thick with emotion. "For both of us." As the cat continues to recover, the doctor watches over it, his heart full of gratitude and love. The cat's journey isn't just about recovery from illness. It's about the bond that has formed, a bond that transcends the walls of the hospital. It's a story of second chances, of hope, and of the profound connection that can exist between humans and animals. And just as the doctor is beginning to feel the weight of exhaustion lifting, he hears a soft voice from the hallway. It's the cat's owner, standing at the threshold, eyes wide with shock and relief. "Doctor?" The owner calls, her voice trembling. Is my cat going to be okay?" The doctor turns, his expression softening. "Yes," he says, his voice steady and full of conviction. "Your cat is going to be just fine." The owner steps forward, tears filling her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispers, her voice breaking. The doctor gives her a warm smile. "You don't need to thank me, it's my honor." As the owner approaches the cat, who now looks up at her with recognition in its eyes, the doctor steps back. His job here is done. The cat is going home, and so is he. But as he watches the reunion, he can't help but feel a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he didn't just save a life. He helped restore a connection that was always meant to be. As the owner and the cat share their emotional reunion, the doctor quietly exits the room, his heart lighter than it's been in years. It's a bittersweet moment, watching them leave, but he knows that the cat will never forget the bond they shared in this hospital room. And neither will he. Just before he steps into the hallway, the doctor pauses, taking one last look at the cat and its owner. The cat, now standing tall and strong, looks at him with a gaze full of gratitude. In that moment, the doctor feels an overwhelming sense of peace. It's not just about medical success. It's about the love and connection that can exist between all living beings, regardless of species. And that, he realizes, is what truly makes the world a better place. As the doctor watches the cat walk out of the hospital, safely cradled in the arms of its owner, a sense of fulfillment washes over him. This wasn't just another case, it was a moment that changed everything. The connection between him and the cat, a bond formed in the unlikeliest of places, reminded him of what truly matters. It's not just about medicine, it's about compassion, care, and the incredible power of love. The cat's owner looks at the doctor one last time, gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you, doctor. I don't know what I would have done without you." The doctor smiles, his heart swelling with warmth. "You don't need to thank me. It's just what we do." With that, the doctor watches as the pair walks out the door. The cat now looking strong and healthy. The hospital feels quieter now, but the memory of this day will live with him forever. As the door closes behind them, the doctor takes a deep breath. It's not just another day at work. It's a reminder of why he became a doctor in the first place, to make a difference, no matter how big or small. And as you reflect on this incredible journey, remember, sometimes the greatest gift we can give is simply being there for one another, no matter the species. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with those who might need a little hope today, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that celebrate the powerful bonds we share with animals. Let's spread kindness, one story at a time.